With temperatures set to rise further, we meet some of the winners and some of the losers.
If you live in the south and southeast of England, it's been another hot day with heatwave health warnings still in place. But forecasters are warning that worse is yet to come, with the amber warning now extended to much of England and Wales until at least next Tuesday, when temperatures are expected to climb to the mid-30s or above. Neil Connery has the latest.
As the heatwave grinds on, thousands of people were left without water on the Isle of Sheppey. Bottled water collection points were set up by Southern Water, who've been working to fix a burst main as temperatures and tempers rise.
It's so hot and people are getting angry, and that's making them hotter. And you can't have a cool bath, you can't have a shower, you can't flush a toilet even, and the inside of some of these houses are going to be appalling.
We hope that it will be sorted soon, because for showers with bottles, it's horrible. It's horrible, but we may do.
Hopefully the water comes back on later. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
At Crawley Fire Station, they're gearing up for the impact of the possible extreme heat. With tinder dry ground in many parts of England, the dangers of wildfires are increasing.
It only takes a glass bottle refracting the sun onto a bit of dry fuel and a wildfire can take hold from that. And it's the sort of thing that you put down quite commonly without thinking about leaving an empty bottle there where you have your picnic.
Network Rail are painting certain parts of the tracks white so they absorb less heat and expand less. Temporary speed restrictions could also be seen at the hottest times to deal with the threat of buckling rails.
Oh, wow, you hit it!
At Crawley Down Village Church of England School, it's business as usual, despite the heat wave. But with temperatures forecast for the mid to high 30s next week, keeping everyone cool is the priority.
It's just about breaking up the day, making sure the children have got good access to water, constantly replenishing that. And the rest breaks, just in the learning, we just need to make sure that the children are fully prepared.
It's a lesson all of us could benefit from in the days ahead. Well, this extreme heat warning for much of England and parts of Wales has now been extended. It will run from Sunday morning through until Tuesday night. Things should hopefully cool down just a little bit over the next few days before they really do start to ramp up as temperatures head up to and possibly even above record levels early next week.
Good evening. The heatwave in London and the South East is beginning to take its toll on the capital services. In Greenwich, bin collections have been delayed. The council there saying it is simply too hot for workers to do their job. London Ambulance say they are under pressure, and today the mayor triggered special protocols to protect rough sleepers and other vulnerable people during the extreme heat. And as Carolyn Sim reports, things are only getting hotter.
Today's heat was too stifling for most. At Greenwich Park, the temperature hit 27 degrees. But in the borough's streets, the rubbish will have to sit out in the sun for longer. Bin collections will be delayed until this heat wave has passed, and people aren't impressed.
That's going to be horrible because everything getting smellier. It will be difficult to keep things in place.
The bin starts to pile up, and then there's rubbish everywhere, and then it kind of smells, and it's not good.
There's always children out there as well, playing in the air, playing on the street, playing around the back. So just rubbish everywhere is not ideal.
We've had to ensure that the guys have chance to go and hydrate, go and get a little bit of rest outside the sun. We're working flat out, to be quite honest, to get those cleared at the very latest by the next day.
The high temperatures are putting extra strain on London's ambulance service. Today, it urged people not to call 999 unless there's a real emergency. The first aid charity, St John Ambulance, says everyone needs to take great care.
The most important thing is to drink regular water, obviously little and often at times, obviously wearing sunscreen, wearing a hat, and obviously not being outside in the sun for prolonged periods of time.
The heat's causing concern for the well-being of London's most vulnerable, rough sleepers. The Mayor's severe weather emergency plan is usually activated in plummeting winter temperatures, but this hot weather could be dangerous.
There will be outreach workers going out and about across London, staffed by councils and charities, giving water, but also sunscreen as well, signposting rough sleepers to places where it's safe.
We know Londoners want to help people, but people are often unsure of how to do that. Our first advice is, if you can, if you feel safe, please stop and say hello, ask someone how they're doing, see if they need some help.
If this extreme heat breaks records, temperatures would need to be higher than 38.7 degrees. If that happens, even the most committed sun worshippers will surely hope for rain. Carolyn Sim, ITV News.
And it's not just the human cost of the heatwave that needs to be considered. There have been warnings about water shortages and also the risk posed by wildfires because of the very dry conditions. Well, Martin Stew has been exploring the environmental impact of the heatwave.
From toasty Tooting to straw-like Streatham and even wilting Wandsworth. One thing every part of London has in common is the bleached colour of the grass. So what, if anything, should we do?
Let them go brown. Brown is fine. They will bounce back when it rains.
Okay, and if you do have to water something, a watering can's better, is it?
Yeah, watering can's good. Smaller amount of water, where a hose pipe or a sprinkler can use about 1,000 litres in an hour. That's 3 times an average family's total daily use.
In just 1 hour?
In just 1 hour.
With working from home increasing water usage, alongside the demands of filling paddling pools, Thames Water say they can't rule out a hosepipe ban.
We've had 9 of the past 11 months have below average rainfall. But when you've got 10 million people taking water from the system every hour of every day, that equation doesn't stack up. So we're okay at the moment, but we're watching it closely.
It's not just water, but fire we need to worry about. Chobham Common caught light 2 years ago. Much of the ground is still charred.
We're facing a nature and a climate crisis at the moment, so we're really seeing that on the ground where sites like this, as important as they are for nature, are absolutely bone dry, so we're at a real risk of a wildfire.
Just a few miles down the road, Heathland near Bisley is still alight. 650 hectares have burnt in the past week. What started the fire is unknown.
Wildlife that gets caught up in fires is a lot of our reptile species. They can't outrun the flames, so they'll try and get deep underground, but they're not always successful. And we've got rare stuff like sand lizards and smooth snakes in Surrey that can get caught up in the flames. There's ground nesting birds that will be on chicks and eggs at the moment, so the chicks and the eggs just won't be able to escape the flames, so they'll get caught up. There's a huge suite ecologically that can really suffer as a result of a wildfire.
With temperatures forecast to get hotter still by the end of the week, the advice is to take picnics, not portable barbecues, and be extra careful with cigarette butts to avoid seeing more scenes of destruction like this. Martin Stew, ITV News.
Now onto the hot weather, and the Met Office has extended its extreme weather warning until Tuesday. What does that exactly mean? Well, Alice Bandu-Kravi has been looking into it, and we can speak to her 10 floors above where I am right now. Alice.
That's right, Assad. The temperatures are going to remain high. In fact, they're going to build over the next few days to a potential record-breaking high on Tuesday. And that weather warning, as you say, has been extended. It means there could be a danger to life or potentially serious illness from this intense heat. Now, the mayor today has said that he's met up with the emergency services, and they've triggered what's called a severe weather emergency response. Now, it's the first time that that's happened during the summer. That normally happens in the winter months, but it's happened today, and it means that councils, charities, out workers will be going across London, trying to speak to homeless people, trying to give rough sleepers water, shelter, bring them indoors to keep them safe. Now, of course, London has to keep on moving, doesn't it? And some of us have to keep working in these hot weather conditions. So I've been speaking to some people working in this hot weather, and some people keeping very cool.
As you can see, there's 2 blocks in here being frozen.
If you've got to work in the heat, you could do worse than this.
So these are the ice blocks. They take around 3 days to freeze.
An ice factory in Bermondsey.
We use filtrated water via reverse osmosis and UV treated water. So we take another which has already been frozen, put it into the bandsaw, we cut into slices and we bag it.
Who are your customers?
Mostly bars, hotels, events companies, restaurants.
Now, this might be the best place in London to be today. It's minus 18 degrees in this giant freezer where they keep all the different shapes and sizes of ice. And I'm going to hold on to this one. They produce around 3 tons of ice cubes every day, and in weather like this, business is booming. Down the road at the Nepalese restaurant Panas, Chef Ram is cooking up a storm. It's hot work.
So first, this is the main ingredient. Garlic is always better.
But in this weather, it's not their busiest time of year.
There's a British culture when the sun comes out, we all are in the park, so we are just more happy sitting in the park until late, you know. So we have less customers in any business, especially curry industry.
And with the hot weather set to continue and even get hotter, it's good news for the icemen and not so good for the curry houses. Alice Bandukravi, BBC London in Lee.
So, Sally, it is getting hotter, and there are winners and there are losers.
Ain't that a life lesson? Yeah, we've got the message now. It's getting hotter out there. Although, got a little bit of a lull, of course, but it's going to get even hotter. And on Chiswick High Street, some people are loving it and some businesses are really struggling. So I went along there today. I wasn't able to be cheesy today. That comment will make sense in just a sec. Let's take a look.
Let's start with the good news. Hot weather equals ice cream. Are you roasting today?
Yes. Yeah.
Is this going to do the trick?
Yeah, definitely.
Are you like my kids when it's hot? Do you ask for ice cream every day?
Yeah.
And what's the answer?
Maybe.
Well, that's one up on no. Vendors like O'Donnell's are lapping, or rather licking up, the heat.
We had the same, if you remember, Friday a couple of weeks ago, 32 degrees. It was non-stop, overwhelming.
Really?
Yeah, up to a point where all the members of staff were hoping for a bit of rain, a bit of rest.
Oh, wow, really? Well, you're like, no, keep going.
No, keep going, come on.
While there are some winners in the heat, there are also losers too. And here on Sunday, instead of the wonderful aroma of cheese, there'll be the whiff of disappointment because the cheese market's been cancelled for fears that it'll turn into, have you guessed it, a fondue.
Did you know Chiswick was originally known as Cheesewick, meaning cheese farm, but this Sunday it will be cheeseless?
We're really, really upset, but I have to say we are the ones that cancelled it because we don't want to sell bad quality cheese and we don't want our stall holders to be throwing away their produce.
Charlie's Fruit Market, however, is battling it out.
Darren, how's it going in the heat? How are you, first of all?
Struggling.
Are you?
Yeah.
What about the fruit?
The fruit's struggling worse than I am, I should imagine. Yeah.
How do you keep it cool?
We don't. We try and sell it before it gets too hot.
Are sales better when it's cooler?
A little cooler, yeah. People don't really like to come out when it's too hot.
At the Urban Tropicana houseplant shop, it's all about putting the right plant in the right place.
I've had to jiggle the plants around. I've put the yuccas out to the right-hand side. This is where we get most of the light, so they can tolerate it. So
they're the toughies, are
those
they?
are the tough ones.
Who's struggling the most, you or the plants?
Who's me? Can you tell? Can you tell?
Back in O'Donnell's, I thought I'd take one for the team.
I mean, when in Rome, the owner is from Italy. That is a cracking ice cream.
Sally Williams, ITV News, Chiswick or Cheesewick.
Never, never cheesy. That is it.